Yo, what's poppin' everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Zach Lesage here. How's it going? Today we're going to be covering over the top 10 best decks in our Pokemon 151 format. Specifically, these are the events that are leading up into the Peoria Regional Championships. So if you're heading to those events, I think that the order of this list is pretty well positioned based off of what's going on in the metagame. Can things change? Of course. We have League Challenges, League Cups, and other events going on elsewhere that can definitely influence the metagame. And sometimes these last minute changes can allow decks that aren't even on this list to spike up. So right now I think it's really good, but we are recording this pretty early on into the week, so we'll see whatever changes. That being said, give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and let us know in the comments what you think your top 10 decks are going into Peoria Regionals. Also, in our pinned comment below, either today or the day after when the video is rendering, we will have links that you can copy and paste these lists right into PTCG Live. So if you're trying to play those decks right away, that's all great. If you're trying to pick up any of these cards, go to AtlasTCG, Deckout Gaming, and of course PTCGL store for all your Pokemon card needs, whether it's codes, singles, sealed, whatever. We have all of those links available for discounts in our description, so be sure to check that out. And we do have to thank, of course, TCG Bulk and Ultimate Guard for all of the support for this video as well. That being said, let's jump into our number 10 pick and see how it goes. Want to support the Shuffle Squad? Be sure to check out all of our sponsors in the description to pick up Pokemon TCG singles, sealed, and PTCG Live codes. Kicking it in at our number 10 pick is going to be Fusion Mew. Fusion Mew's seen some light success at online tournaments. However, Charizard EX, not the normal fire type one that we're usually used to seeing Charizard as, the dark type one, has been seeing a lot of success online lately and from the Curitiba Regionals results. So Mew does not want to be facing a bunch of darkness type decks. That being said, Mew is going to be placed relatively towards the bottom of this list. Could this number 10 spot change? Could Mew be slightly better positioned by the end of the week? Of course. There's a lot of decks that are vying for this spot, and I think there's a lot of viable decks in this format. There's also the Mew Path Double Turbo version. There's a lot of other versions of other decks. That's where it gets hard to place these things on the list. But right now we're going to go Fusion Mew as a default number 10 because it is a successful deck. It can win tournaments, as we saw it won the World Championships. However, things are looking a little bit grim towards Pittsburgh, or Peoria, I should say. Man, I'm getting my P's mixed up. As we look towards the metagame. So that's what we got going on at number 10. Let's see what we have going on for the rest of the list. Splashing all the way into number 9 is Lost Zone Kyogre. Now, this deck has seen a lot of success, and I mean, it did win Pittsburgh. So kind of how I got Pittsburgh and Peoria mixed up, it just won Pittsburgh. Going into Peoria, we do have a lot more Charizard in the format. And what a lot of people forget is that Charizard EX has its Terra type ability that's going to stop bench damage going on from things like Aqua Storm. So in a world where almost every single deck is teching a Manaphy, we basically didn't really gain enough to make this deck super worthwhile. We gained Ditto, which is great. We gained Mew EX, which is great. But when we have these cards, Turbo Lost Zone Box also gained all these cards, and Tina gained all these cards. So maybe I'm foreshadowing the rest of the list a little bit, but right now I think that this deck is just like the Kyogre play is just not as well positioned as we want it to be in this current format. If Miraidon spikes up a little bit, and if other decks that are weak to Aqua Storm spike up a little bit, we could see a little bit of that being different. So we'll have to see how it plays out, but right now I think Lost Zone Kyogre comfortably fits into our top 10, just towards the lower half this week. Rapid Strike in its way all the way to number 8 is Rapid Strike Urshifu. Now, I do know that a lot of people are going to be like, yo, Zach, why do you play this Starmie in your deck? And I think I explained it last week, but we'll explain it again. Staryu is being able to search by Octillery. You could search it out, or Irida. And of course, we could grab Starmie with Irida. So we have an opportunity to put 2 damage counters on our opponent's Pokemon, maybe set something up for a Yoga Loop. While we're about to use Yoga Loop and gain an extra turn, we could put a Rapid Strike Urshifu V down, then use Yoga Loop, gain our extra turn, evolve, and use Gmax Rapid Flow. Essentially getting 20 extra damage out in the game, and I think that's cool. And I think like right now, cool might not necessarily equal the best, but right now I think it would be really interesting for the Starmie to see success. Now on our team we have both Cyrus and we have Alex, who have both seen success with Rapid Strike Urshifu a lot. So if you want to learn anything more about what they're thinking about this deck, by all means feel free to join our Patreon at patreon.com/TSSWin, and join there. It's like $10-15 a month, and you get access to all of our deck lists, articles, and more. So that'd be a great place to support the squad. If you're wondering, like, you're like, hey, I watch the videos, can I do a little bit more? That gets you a lot of information, and it really does help support us. So check it out. It's also the links in the description. So yeah, appreciate that. But right now, Rapid Strike Urshifu not really having the best matchup spread. There's a lot of decks that are scary, and Mew EX is also Psychic type, so you got to watch out for that weakness there. But we'll have to see how it plays out. Rapid Strike Urshifu always has a way of surprising us in the metagame. Spiking from not even making the list last week to number 7 is Chien-Pao Baxcalibur. Now, you might be like, yo, Zach, you pretty much have hated on this deck. And I mean, I wouldn't say that I've hated on this deck. I always have a soft spot for Chien-Pao. However, I feel like this is one of the only decks that can hold its own against decks like Tina. It can hold its own against decks like Lugia and Charizard. So as those decks all see success at the top, we want to load up our energies on Chien-Pao and really just go for the knockouts. This is a really perfect list if I ever saw one. I think that Kieran and Lucas Singh really got it figured out between the World Championships and Pittsburgh Regionals, and here we are. I talked to both of them. They said that Mew EX isn't really where it's at because it's better just to hit face with Chien-Pao EX, and I'd probably also agree with that. So this is where we're at list-wise. Check this one out if you're looking for it. So shout out to those guys. Those guys have put a lot of effort into this deck. If you're trying to play Chien-Pao Baxcalibur, now is probably the time. Flapping its way into number 6 is Single Strike Lugia. Now, we've seen Colorless Lugia really take a lot of the top performances. However, this deck hangs on because it has the answer in the form of Cobalion for Charizard EX, whereas Colorless Lugia doesn't really have the answers otherwise. So, where this deck might be a more well-rounded approach to the metagame, which could be a great idea for regional championships, it does not necessarily spike matchups otherwise, and it might lose to Single Strike or to Colorless Lugia a little bit, just because they can use Snorlax against you. So we have a Pokemon like Lumineon, or if you include Squawkabilly, that can get knocked out by Snorlax. However, we also have Stonjourner that might be an opportunity to knock those Pokemon out as well. So we'll have to see how this deck plays. I think both Lugia decks are going to see quite a bit of success at the Peoria Regional Championships. It just really depends on what you're going to face and if you were able to predict that correctly. Don't drive yourself crazy. The pairings of Pokemon tournaments can be quite disappointing if you hit a few bad matchups in a row, so don't let it get to you as long as you're kind of following a list like this or doing your due diligence on the metagame. Moving into number 5, Lost Zone Turbo takes the spot, and it gets a couple new tools similar to the Lost Zone Kyogre list of Mew EX and Ditto. However, I think this deck can utilize them a little bit better because it has a little bit more space to work with. I think the Ditto might make things a little bit faster, and Mew EX gives this deck a whole other dimension of being able to copy different attacks, on top of being able to use Restart as a way to get out of Roxanne or Ionos during the late game. This deck is like kind of middle of the road if you have to ask me, because I think there's a lot of decks that can just like do things against this deck. Like, we are in a format where Lugia is a very good deck. And of course, Lost Zone decks don't really want to be hitting that matchup. We do have answers with Raikou, we do have answers with Mew EX, we even have answers with all of our other attackers. So I think, again, like, we have the answers. Not every single matchup's going to be easy, but I think that Lost Zone Turbo is quite well positioned going forward. This, to me, is a fantastic list, and if I had to play a deck tomorrow, I would probably default this because I love playing Lost Zone box decks, and this list, to me, is Chef's Kiss. Psychic Embracing all the way to number 4 is Gardevoir. Now, Gardevoir is no stranger to success. It's seen success at the highest levels of all types of events: regionals, internationals, worlds, league cups, league challenges, you name it. And really, we've taken towards layout of the list, the DNA of this deck, and here's where we're at. I don't think there's really much to change. This deck might struggle a little bit if we run into a Mawile. There are a few more Mawiles out there. Mawile trapping up a Pokemon. And the reason why this deck is susceptible to getting trapped up is they can't retreat. You don't have any Switch, Escape Rope, Penny, nothing. So if that's a case, Gardevoir EX might struggle if you face a Mawile. My best opinion and best advice is to not bench Lumineon, Radiant Greninja, or Manaphy in any of those matchups where you can kind of get trapped up in the active. Because at least your other Pokemon can attack and get Psychic Embrace energies too. Those 3 Pokemon you cannot, and you cannot retreat. You can only boss and attempt to bring up one of your opponent's other Pokemon. So in that case, I think that there's opportunities to just watch out for when it comes to those things. However, Gardevoir has enough tools built in, so as long as you know what you're playing around and your intuition as a player is correct, as a Gardevoir player, which I think you should be an experienced Gardevoir player playing it, it is quite a difficult deck to play, then roll with that. Right now it's number 4. And again, it's probably number 4 and not number 1 because it does take quite a bit of time to play, and a lot of your games are going to be ending up into 1-0 victories or 1-1 ties. That's really how I see this deck going, so that's the one reason that I'm kind of staying away from it. Lost impacting its way into number 3 is Tina V-Star Lost Zone Edition. Again, you can see we've had a lot of the similar culprits that we've added into other decks, like Ditto, and it just gives Tina a little bit of a better start. Tina's seeing a little bit more success now, and it's moving up this list because it can hold its own against a lot of decks in format and boasts a positive Charizard matchup. So when it has positive matchups towards the top, Tina's going to grab those by the coattails and just be nestled underneath those kinds of decks. We also have Snorlax in this deck because it can hit 180 damage against a Mew EX, which is a great counter to Tina V-Star. So I thought Mew EX would like just destroy Tina V-Star because they copy 280, knock you out as a basic Pokemon, and not getting all these like cards in the Lost Zone to build up Lost Impact. Snorlax is a very reasonable response, and it does allow us to go Snorlax, Roxanne, Path, attack our opponent, and be like, what's up, what's good? So I really think that that's one of those things that we got going on for Tina. This list, I think, is incredible. Again, like, I've really put a lot of effort into the list this week, more so than other weeks, as I've been grind testing for Peoria myself. So take as much advantage as possible and utilize some of these lists into your regular testing. Let me know how you feel. But yeah, Tina, number 3, super solid deck here. Burning Darkness at number 2 is Charizard EX. And I mean, Charizard EX has had a heck of a run where we thought the deck was good. We didn't know how good, didn't really see the success we wanted. Curitiba Regionals absolutely dominated. And here we are now. I think the Pidgeot winning Arvin combo that we saw from Curitiba Regionals with William Azevedo really paved the way. Now, there's a couple things that I've changed about this list, not much. Just more stadiums in general, cutting the penny for a collapse, which I thought did basically the same thing. And I might change this list up a little bit, but right now I did like Artisan a little bit more in this deck than the Lost City. Maybe I'll cut the Magma Basin in a Collapse Stadium for 2 Lost Cities because I decide that I like them. But right now, this list has been working absolute wonders for me. Charizard EX boasts powerful matchups as long as it's able to set up in the first turn or so. If it does, this deck really sees a lot of success, and again, boasts very powerful matchups. One of the reasons why Tina is seeing success, one of the few reasons why counters to Charizard are popping up. Now, we might see a lot of Charizard counters pop up this week, which might drop this deck a little bit, but we'll have to see how it plays out. Again, right now, Charizard, this is the way that I'd be running it if I was running it at Peoria. You made it all the way to our number 1 list. We got Lugia V-Star again, this time the colorless version. Really allowing this deck to play Mew EX is the reason why this deck is coming back. So we can copy pretty much whatever we have in play. We can copy Radiant Greninja, we can copy Lost Impact, we can copy pretty much whatever we need. And we have a handful of single prize card attackers like Snorlax and Luxray, and interesting attackers like Weirdeer, and specific attackers like Drapion. We could reduce our weakness with Dunsparce if we run into a few of those Rhydon decks that might be popular. And I think we just have a really solid, powerful list here going on. We've got a lot of energies, a lot of ways to get out of control things with Jet Energy. We have a lot of ways to really do whatever we want when it comes to this deck. So while this deck might be a little bit clunky at times, I think it is arguably the best deck in format, only really struggling to Charizard EX. So as this deck plays out, you just got to be careful of your energy management, but I do think that Colorless Lugia is an absolutely fantastic choice going into Peoria Regionals. Again, there might be some counters that we see. I've heard some whispers about Duraludon VMAX. I've heard some whispers about players playing Miraidon to try to counter this deck. There's always going to be counters to the best deck in formats. The thing about the best deck in format is, quite often it does really well against the deck that also beats those decks too. So if the Duraludon's hitting Tinas, and you're hitting the Tinas afterwards, you're probably doing well against the Tinas. So keep that in mind. This deck is just really well positioned, really well constructed, and a great choice going forward. Do you agree? Let me know in the comments below. And that's what we got going on for this video. Hopefully you enjoyed watching. Stay tuned for more great content from the Shuffle Squad and myself. And if you're going to Peoria Regionals, be sure to find us in our purple shirts. Or if we're not wearing our purple shirts, we should be wearing our purple shirts. Just pull off to the side and say hi anyways. It's going to be great to meet a lot of you and compete at the Peoria Regional Championships. If you're not going, be sure to check out the official live stream from home on the Pokemon YouTube and Twitch channels. I'll catch up with all y'all later. Peace out and have a great one. Hey trainers, tired of having too many cards lying around? I know that feeling, and I know what a hassle it is to try and sell those cards. But selling bulk is now easier than ever with TCG Bulk. Find tons of potential buyers in a single place. You just download the app, look for the best buyer near you, and carefully pack your bulk, ship it, and you get paid. It really is that simple. Turn the cards you don't want into the cards you absolutely need for your next deck. You made it to the end. Thank you so much for watching this entire video from the Shuffle Squad. Honestly, from the bottom of our hearts, we appreciate each and every person that supports our content, watches what we have going on every single day, every single week, even from time to time, and continuously allows us to have a forum to project our creative content towards the Pokemon TCG community. So if you haven't already, be sure to give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and even leave a comment to help boost the YouTube algorithm. That being said, we'll catch you with our next video. Thanks again. Take it easy.